Came across this TES article saying that teaching has become a military style tour of duty from the boss at Education Support Partnership. Whilst no one here is comparing the duty of a soldier in war to what it's like being in a classroom, although some teachers may well say at the minute with some students' behaviour that it's like going into battle each and every day in the classroom. It's more about this concept of teaching no longer being a lifelong career. I remember when I first started teaching, one of the best things about teaching was it was a career for life. It was something that you would always do and you could stay in for 40, 50 years. And I think for the majority of people in sort of my parents' generation, I think that's the last generation where that is the case. I know sort of the boomer generation, that was the mentality to have a job for life, whereas now that's not always the case. I do feel it's just quite sad teaching's got to this point. Because sort of linked to this, it feels like teaching is now a job where having more experience actually works against you. And I think that experience really does matter. I mean, if you've been a teacher for a long time, you've been able to work with a vast array of children with lots of different needs, and that experience you learn from and you're able to then implement with new children coming through. I'd be interested to hear why it is the case that that experience doesn't seem to count for anything in education. Maybe it's because of the budget, so that as you're more experienced, you become dearer as a teacher. Or it could be, and I'm seeing this myself as a teacher of over 16 years, that you're seeing the wheel be reinvented and reinvented and reinvented. And as an experienced teacher, I feel now that I'm a little less susceptible to some of the BS that gets introduced because you've seen it all before. And I'm sure there's some experienced teachers that call that out and it possibly doesn't go down so well. The comparison she makes here is that she says military tours are 6 months to 4 years. The hallmark is you're in a hostile environment. It's very intense. There is a recognition that it takes a significant toll on someone. At the end of the tour, you reassess and you think, can I do it again? Do I stop now and go back to civilian life? And sort of comparing that to what it's like in education at the minute. And again, don't think she's making a direct comparison here, but the way education is at the minute, where teachers are working more than 55 hours a week, which presents a danger to your health. And what winds me up is that's almost become normalised now, that is a necessary sacrifice, which really annoys me. It's the case that a lot of teachers aren't seeing this as a lifelong career. It's almost a stopgap. I just think it's really sad that it's got to this point where so many of us don't see it as a lifelong career and more as like a stint, a little duty, a little way of giving back before you move on to something more sustainable for you. And what's really frustrating is the government data revealing that the number of state school teachers leaving has hit the highest rate in 4 years last year. The past couple of weeks at the Labour and Tory party conferences, not a word mentioned. Now, we know the Tories aren't going to say anything because they've created this mess, but I really thought Labour would take that on board from speaking to teachers, but instead, the policies they're coming out with, the maths one, I mean, is maths what we need to be focusing on? Is that so bad at the minute? I think it's all right. White Rose, we've got this. It's the other stuff. But then if they're coming out with policies like this, so on top of being teachers, counsellors, social workers, the list can go on. We're now going to add dentists to the list. Why not? We've not got enough on our plate, have we?